Mm-hmm. Hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Discord then. Hello, Titan Soul. Hi, you unidentified four wheels. Yes, thanks for being here. Give me a second. Um, Just a moment. Well. Hello, Nagbabu. Thanks for being here. Just a minute, guys. Yes. All right. So we're back again with more Hacker Rank of Awesome. Let me just go to this overthewire.org. Okay. Just has some problem. 999 9 6 5 Okay, so basically now we're trying to increase our rankings, and here we are at 2432, and this is my country ranking 39, and this is Behemoth. So we've already completed all these other war games like Bandit, Natus, Leviathan, Krypton, and Narnia, and now we're doing Behemoth. Okay, so okay, so Sumit Singh, I think I completed all of these 5 levels. I mean, all of these, what do you say, war games, and now I'm at Behemoth. Okay, so so just for this and also a couple of hack the box machines, as you can see. So these actually earned some points, really good points, right? So let's get started with Behemoth and SSH Behemoth 0 and 2221. So here, as you can see, Behemoth Labs, right? And port 2221, and this is difficulty 3, levels 9, and platform this. So x86 means it is 32-bit, right? So Intel x86 means 32-bit. Like whatever we're trying to do, we have to do it like considering x86, which means 32-bit operating system. Okay, so yes. So Nagbabu asked like how do you get started? So first of all, you go here to vchel.net. Okay, so I'm just pasting it over here. Okay, let's say here. So first of all, create an account here, and once you create an account, you will have a username and password, right? So you have all these active sites, 47 active sites, and you can select any one of them. For example, I selected over the wire, so let me check that. Over the wire, right? So once I go to over the wire, I should be able to see just a minute. So here in the information section, just click on this and go to VHL scoreboard and do this process. Okay, so basically you just need to open bash rc. In my case it is Z shell rc. Okay, because I'm using Z shell. So for example, if I to know your shell, you just have to type echo dollar shell and you would get Z shell, right? For me, if I type ls-al in the home directory, I should see Z shell rc file. Okay, if you have bash rc, I mean if you have bash, you should use bash rc. It's dot bash rc file, and as per the instructions, you need to go to that particular rc file and edit it with either nano or some other editor. And once you open that, just copy paste these two commands and rename this with your let's say I have the username torhat, right? So I have to replace this with torhat, and I have to replace with the token which I get from here. Okay, so account war boxes. So if I go to account war boxes, I should be able to see my what is it? Okay, so if I click on account, I should be able to see all of these things, and one of them is war boxes. If I click on war boxes, I should be able to access this token. Okay, just replace that token with this token. It should look something like this. And once it is done, just go here and create this file or edit this file. Just copy paste this in that file and you're done. Okay, so once it is done, based on the challenge, for example, if it is Behemoth, you just use SSH, let's say again, SSH Behemoth 0, which is the username of Behemoth. Okay, so where is it? Okay, so username and the password is given for the first level. Okay, for example, the 0th level. So this is the username, this is the password, this is the server where it is hosted, and this is the port number. Okay, I hope you can see this. So you mix all that and you go to SSH. This is the username Behemoth 0 at this server at port 2221. So if you hit enter, it will ask for a fingerprint. Just say yes, and finally you need to type the password, which is Behemoth 0, right? So the username password for the first one is already given, so that is that. Once you log in, you should see this kind of prompt. Okay, so Behemoth 0 at gibson.com. So I hope you understood. So this is where it gets interesting, because we updated our config files and everything. For example, I just say let's say dot ssh config, and I updated all of these things, right? So when I used ssh to log in here, and whatever I do here, my account information, which is star hat and the token, will be transferred over here. And then if I type vchel account, which updates the score once I reach to a certain level. Okay, so whenever I do ssh, I have to do this. Okay, so this is unknown level, which means you just used the existing username and password. So once you log in to behemoth 1, you should be able to use this command vchel. Okay, so this data is also given over here. So if you just scroll down, vchel command. Okay, so once you go to a certain level, use vchel command, and that will update the score, right? So it's all pretty cool. So you just have to set it up once, and next time, like, you just have to just run it. Okay, say for example, I have this, right? So cd/behemoth, this is where the files are, and as you can see, the files are located. Okay, they did not say where the files. Okay, here. So the data can be found at this location /behemoth. So I went to that /behemoth, and I can see a bunch of files. Okay, so since I am behemoth 0, I think the only thing that I have access to is behemoth 0. Okay, so I can extend this command to ls-l, and I can see that this group is behemoth 0, because if I type id, my group id is behemoth 0, right? So I have access to this file as group. Okay, and the group has access for reading and executing the files. You cannot edit the files. Okay, only reading and executing. So and this one seems to be a binary file. So if I type by behemoth 0, I should see that this is an executable, right? So basically, if I try to reverse engineer this binary file to get the password for the next level, only then I should be able to access that level. Okay, and the passwords are stored at this location, like cat/etc behemoth, and here you have, let's say, behemoth 0, right? And you also have something like behemoth 1, because you're not behemoth 1, you don't have access to that. So you have to first become behemoth 1, and only then you can access the password. And once you access that password, you log into that user and then type vchel command. Okay, so this is the process. I hope that's clear, Nagababu. So we'll just do it here. Okay, so currently we are at behemoth 0, so we have to hack this behemoth 0 file so that you have access to behemoth 1 user, and then you get the password. Okay, so let's see, behemoth 0, and it is asking for a password. Just type some random characters just to see how it's working, and it says access denied. Okay, so if you see any binary file, if it is a small file, you can actually use some tool called ltrace, which will actually trace all the dynamic libraries associated with this particular the file. Okay, yeah, that's good, Nagababu. Yeah, thank you for confirmation. So here, so I'm using this ltrace. This is actually like library tracer. Okay, it traces all the library dynamic library calls with the operating system when this file is run. Okay, so basically if I type behemoth 0, something like this, it will run just like normally, just like you usually do, and it is asking for a password just like it did here. Okay, and it also gave something like it is a printf function that actually generated this password prompt. Okay, and it is waiting, which means something called scanf is being run. Okay, so if you know basic C programming, you should be able to understand this much better, right? So if I type ASDF, the password which I kept here, and if I hit enter, it is checking this string length of this one. It is checking the string length. I think it is 11 or something, I don't know, and it is comparing this string which I kept here with eat my shorts. Okay, so it's just comparing this one with this one, which is not true. So because of this comparison became false, that it just puts out access denied. Okay, so which means if I keep the same thing, which is eat my shorts, it should reply with a different thing, right? So I just run that again, paste that eat my shorts, and here I can see that there is a terminal waiting for me to execute some commands. Okay, so if I type who am I'm still behemoth 0, right? So I ran this ltrace command as behemoth 0, right? But if I run this behemoth 0 just like I usually do, like this, then I am running it as behemoth 1 actually. So to just see that, you just exit out of here and if I type ls-l, I can see that this is the group user, and there is a set user permissions which makes this user, while running this, become an effective user of behemoth 1. Okay, so basically if I'm running it as this, I'm actually running it as behemoth 1. Okay, so since I have the password which is eat my shorts, let me get that and paste it over here, and I should get the terminal. Okay, and now it's not behemoth 0, it is behemoth 1. Okay, so effectively, like I was able to run this file and access the user of behemoth 1. Okay, so if I type bash, I should get a really good bash prompt, something like this, and I can, as you can see, it is behemoth 1 right now. Okay, so you can also get the password like I said before, behemoth pass behemoth 0, I mean 1, right? This is how you solve this one, but there are a bunch of other ways as well. So first of all, let me save this password right here. And for there's one more what do you say, one more program I want to introduce, which is called pondbg. So this is a really good debugger. This just like gdb, I think you know gdb, right? So this is a debugger. GCC is like binary debugger or something. I think G stands for GCC compiler. So let me exit out from here and exit out again. And here, if I type GDB, I should get something like a prompt or something. Wait. So behemoth 0. Right. So here I can actually disassemble this program into assembly instructions. Let's say disassemble main or something. So I was able to break this file into many parts. Okay, and then analyze each part and try to understand and decode this. So there is a better program and it uses GDB in the background, right? So that program is called Pound Debugger. Okay, so this is the program. So you cannot run it like usual. Okay, so there is some files which are needed. So if you go to their Discord, what do you say? If you go to their Discord channel, they have some instructions of how to use this pound debugger. So you basically copy paste some instructions. So I'll just copy that from here. So these are the instructions. Okay, so basically you don't need to worry about what this is, you just need to just copy paste that, right? So it just create a temporary directory and stores it in this variable, and then caches it. Okay, and then uh, gives this variable into this temporary virtual environments. Okay, and finally copies this to temporary directory, and it checks whether there is any differences or something. Yeah, like if you run this command, you would like to know what comment that is. So basically there is a comment and you're trying to remove that comment. Okay, so that's this, and that comment is at line number 111. Okay, so that's what that is. And alias gdb is gdb-x temporary directory and gdb init.py, right? So basically you're running gdb. I mean, if you just type gdb, it should automatically give this prompt, right? And once it is done, you also need to copy this poetry.log into temporary directory, and that's done. So if you just paste it, and now you can actually run pound debugger command just like you did before. Okay, so this one, right? So now you're able to see this debugger right here. So now you ran that file as this debugger, right? So you can actually run this file right straight away, but let me just disassemble the main function, and I can see all these instructions right here. So all of them are assembly code, right? So if I just go through that, so here it just says there are some words that are there, okay, which might be the password, we don't know. And here it is just some print function, which is just like the print function for password colon, right? And then it is asking for a password, so we give the password in the scanf, and finally in the string length it just prints out something, so we just need to identify that as well. And memprob, so we'll discuss about memprob. So before that I just want to discuss this string compare. So using this pound debugger, so you can actually directly create a breakpoint right here in this particular instruction, and then see what is in this particular instruction. Okay, so to so to do that, you just have to say break at this location. Sorry, so break at this location. Okay, so now you created a breakpoint. Now you can just run it, and it's asking for a password. So basically this is where I kept the breakpoint, right at string compare. So whatever is happening before, it will happen like usual. So it is asking for a like a password, and it's like password colon, and then this is asking for a password, and then it just compares everything, and finally once it comes to this location it just stops. Okay, so if I give any random password and hit enter, it just stopped at that particular location where this breakpoint is there, right? And finally the EAX register has this, and EIP register has this, and there is a bash shell that is also there in between, right? And here you see that this string compare has these two parameters, right? ASDF and eat my shorts. So from this you can understand that this could be the password, right? And then you can just exit out from here, just use this password and get the password, right? And there's one more thing you need to do. So you can just break let's say what was that? So let me check the chat. Mhm. Okay, just nothing in the chat. So let me continue. Okay, so so where was I? So here I created a breakpoint, right? So to list the breakpoints, I can just type info breakpoints, and I can see that this is the breakpoint at this location, right? So I can actually delete this breakpoint, clear at memory location, this one. Oh, sorry, it's Control Shift V. Okay. So deleted breakpoint. So if I just type info breakpoints, I don't see any breakpoints, right? So let's create another breakpoint. I can actually just type B, and this time let's keep somewhere at memfrop. Okay. So to understand what memfrop is, so it is just a default function. So if you go here and just type man memfrop, so this is the manual page for memfrop. So basically it is frobnicate and obfuscate memory area, right? So if there is some memory area, so it will just rewrite the data inside that memory into different format. So how is it going to write that? So if you just scroll down, it just this is the description, and it says memfrop function obfuscate the first n bytes of the memory area as by exclusive ORing each character with the number 42. So basically this one is just saying that whatever data is there in the memory, okay, let's type memory and something, I think it's just data, all right, and sorting that with number 42. Okay, let's type 42. So this is exactly what's happening. So what data is responsible for XORing with 42? So we just need to identify that. So let's exit out of here, and here this is the memory location, right? So I just copy that and just say breakpoint at this location and run it. Okay, so as usual we just need to give some random password, and here you see that at stack pointer this is the data that is there, right? So right, so you don't see anything else here. So this is the usual stuff. Okay, so even in the EX register you can see the same data, right? So what you can do is you can go to CyberChef. Let's say CyberChef. Let's click on that. Training branch predictor, computing 6 times 9, importing machine learning, and so on, right? So here you just need SOR, okay, and here the input is that particular text, okay, and the key is 42, right? So far so good, but this is unreadable because it is in hex format, so you need to convert it into decimal, and now you can see eat my shorts, right? So this is the same password you got right here, right? So basically this memfrop is trying to obfuscate this into a different eat my shorts into this text. Okay, so I hope you get it. And there's one more thing you can do to get some results which are closer to that. As you can see, these are some results, right? So you can actually get that using strings command. So if you just type strings behemoth 0, and if you just scroll to the top, here you have some strings. So strings are basically trying to identify what strings I can read actually. So the readable strings which are in ASCII format, just like normal text, all the text will be returned by this strings command. Okay, so that's all it does. And as you can see, there is some OKGSYB, right? So all this data we have already seen right here. Okay, so OKGSYBEX, right? So all this data, it's already there, but it's in different lines, so you cannot understand if you use just basic what do you say, basic strings command, right? So you might need the knowledge of what you can read from, let's say, in the memory location right here. So you just need to understand each instruction, right? So if you don't know something, just open the manual page and figure out that thing. Okay, so once it is done, so here I was checking that, and here it also gives us few other strings. Okay, so these are readable and seems like these can be the passwords, so you just basically check all these as well, and everything else is just normal. So all these are connected libraries, so which means if you just download it to your local repository, and let's say I just want to download this file, scp dash p, let's say 2221, and if I type behemoth 0 at behemoth.labs.overthewire.org, and in this location, if let's say behemoth what was that file, behemoth 0, and if I just transfer that to my local repository, which is this particular location, if I type behemoth 0, and that file will be transferred to my location, right? So if I type ls, I'm able to see that file, but I cannot execute this file like usual. Okay, because all these libraries are synced with that file in that repository only. So if I just type behemoth 0, I cannot run it, no such file or directory, right? So I have this file but I cannot run it. So even if I just type chmod 777 and behemoth 0, and if I run that file again, I won't be able to write it. It will never even detect that there's a file. That's amazing, right? So basically, like, you just have to log into that location and you just have to run in their repository only. Okay, so let me see the chat. Yep. Okay, cool. So once it is done, let's open SSH again. Behemoth 1. I've already saved the password for the previous level, and this is the one, right? So I go back, paste it, hit enter, and we'll just wait for it to load. And behemoth, it's not moth 1, right? So finally we reached behemoth 1, right? So once you reach at behemoth 1, we just type vshell and let it run. And if I go back and just reload this, I should be having, okay, so I can, as you can see, it's 2405 and the rank is 37. So we just jumped a couple of ranks. That's amazing, which means I have defeated this person and this person. Pretty cool, huh? So basically I got 168 points on this website. Cool. So what to do? cd/behemoth and I still have behemoth 1 here. So let's try running that, and it's asking for password and it cannot do anything. So let's try ltrace and followed by this, have some password. This time it's not giving any details, but there's one detail that you can actually get from here. So it's using gets function and it's using puts function. So gets function should never be used. Okay, so if you use gets function, which means you can input any amount of data into this gets function, right? So with that information, what you're basically trying to do is you just give lots of data and try to overflow this gets function, right? So let me check if there's any manual page for gets. Let's see, man gets. Okay, so get a string from the standard input. Okay, this is deprecated, which means no longer used, right? So it says gets reads a line from the standard input and input into the buffer pointed to s. Okay, so until either terminating new line or end of the file, which it replaces with a null byte. Okay, so no check for the buffer overrun is performed. Okay, so this is interesting. So how to not use this gets? So what to use? So actually, if you don't want to use gets, like there is one more thing called fgets, right? So use fgets instead. Okay, so this gets is extremely dangerous to use. So it has been used to break computer security. So fgets must be used. Okay, so that is a security precaution, but here it's deliberately vulnerable and it's giving the information that it is using gets. Okay, so what do? We just give bunch of data. So basically behemoth 1, let's see. Okay, so it did not crash, it just exited normally. So let's paste this a bunch of times, and now I get segmentation fault. Okay, so basically I gave a ton of data, right? So what to do now? Let's open pound debugger and see what happened, right? So let's use, okay, so I cannot use pound debugger here because every time I log in I have to execute some things like this. Okay, I go to pound debugger, just copy everything. So this thing is taken from the Discord of the over the wire. Okay, so it's not permission, I mean permission denied for opening this pound debugger, but if you use these instructions you can actually run that file as pound debugger. Okay, okay, so as you can see, pound debugger, right? So control L to clear the screen, and what should we do here? So we already tried everything, so disassemble main, and here you disassemble this, right? So here you need to understand a couple of things. So it's just printing, it's using gets, right? So this is where the vulnerability is, right? So at which location is it crashing? So that's the question, right? So if I just run it and give bunch of data like I did previously, okay, so not this one, so cut so let me run that again, but this time just copy this one. Okay, so run that again, just paste all the data, and here it crashed. Where did it exactly crash? Okay, so it crashed somewhere here. So to get that information, you just need some other form of data. So it's actually repeated many times, so you don't understand where this EIP is. So basically, EIP is nothing but extended instruction pointer, which means the CPU is taking the instructions from here. Okay, it's not taking instructions from all of these things, it's taking instructions from only this. Okay, so once this is done, it will push the information to the stack pointer. Okay, basically this is the data, right? So once it pushes, it goes to the next thing. So basically the instruction pointer is the return address right here. Okay, so whenever something crashes, let's say this crashed, right? So this return address is the same as this one. Okay, so if we were able to overlap this return address with the information or the location of in the memory with whatever we want, then we were able to manipulate this to a different location. So we need to find what this location is in this text. Okay, so to do that, you just need to use something called a cyclic. Okay, so let's say I keep 100 different cyclic characters, which means these 100 characters has to be unique, and after this 100 you can actually cycle that. Okay, I mean you can actually repeat these 100 again, but these 100 are unique. Okay, so if I just type enter, and this cyclic is one of the command in Pound debugger, which makes things easier. Okay, so let's copy that, let's run it and paste this and hit enter. Okay, so now you have this as the return address, right? And this return address is this one, right? ASAA. And to get this ASAA, so you just have to use the cyclic command again, cyclic dash L and this. Okay, so basically this is saying finding cyclic patterns for 4 bytes, and this location is this one, and it is found at offset 71. Okay, so this is important information. So go to behemoth and found offset at 71, and you need to understand that when it reached 71 it crashed. Okay, which means below 71, which is something like 70, things are fine, right? Things are fine. And you also need to understand that this indexing starts from 0. Okay, just like any other programming languages, this indexing starts from 0. So which means if the offset is found at 71, it's like 0 to 70, things are fine. Okay, so this is what it actually means. So at 71 it crashed. Okay, so how many are these are actually 71. So don't confuse this offset with this thing. So with 71 characters, things are fine. Okay, this is offset, which means the 72nd character causes crash or returns address something. So basically in this case it is ASAA, right? I didn't copy that. paste it. Okay, so and let's see. So once we know all that, all we have to do is change this 71 address, I mean which is 72nd address, as some other return address. So what to do? Let's exit out of here and let's see. Let's create a shell code and export that shell code into environment variables. And here we just need to give a shell code. Actually, this shell code, right? This shell code 601, I guess 606. Yes, yeah, I like this shell code because it keeps all the previous permissions in check. So basically, if I just use this shell code, I can actually have the data. So just paste it over here, just remove all of these things, remove, 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 and done. Okay, so only copy what's inside because we need to use single quotes right here. If you use double quotes, it will cause a problem. So you use single quotes and export this into environment variables. Okay, so if you just okay, so this small change, you just need to give a couple of null what do you call that, null strings, something like this. So one should be enough, but if you just want some more, let me see, what is this called, 0x90. Okay, it's not giving the data. Yes, okay. So basically, if you use this, it will just slide through the code and finally execute this shell code. Okay. Anyway, so I can use one, I can use some more if I want, but let's use just one. I think one should be enough. And you need to find where the shell code is. So if I just type env, it will give bunch of these things, and one of them is the shell code, right? So this is the shell code, and as you can see, bin bash is there, right? Right. So in order to find where this location is, because we get a return address right here and we need to point that to the shell code. Okay, so to get that address, let's say mkdir-t, okay, it's mktemp-t, and then copy this chmod 777, this cd this, and finally you can have, let's say, mem location.c, and you just need to write some script over here. Let's write some C programming, and let's see, is there any comments? Okay, so how can I get that only in Discord? I'm not sure what you're asking for. So let me see. So I think you're asking for the Discord link. Let me get that Discord. It's a Discord, right? I'm not sure where I got this Discord from. um, I think if you just type over the wire Discord, you should be able to get that Discord. So basically, this is the Discord channel, and here you have a bunch of these things, right? So if you go to war games or questions, you should see this. Okay, and this actually doesn't work completely, so you need some final command, which is this one. Okay, so I came up with this command, and this thing actually works. Okay, so rest of the commands are same from this Discord channel. Okay, so in order to understand how to use this, you need to just use this and it will work. Okay, but you have to use it every time, right? So let's go back, and I was about to type the code. Sorry. Oh, the Pwn debugger. I think I just told you how to use Pwn debugger code. So, okay, let me just show you this thing as well. Um, so if you go to, let's say, ls-opt, here you can see Pwn debugger code. Okay, so if you just do that again, you can see all of these things. Okay, so basically you cannot access these things, so you have to move that to a temporary directory and then access them. Okay, so that's what this particular code actually does. Okay, so first it creates a temporary directory, moves everything to temporary directory, and finally runs the debugger as this. Okay, so behemoth1 shell codes, and finally I'm going back to my directory and just type nano find, or you can type anything, this is just a name, mem location .c. So here I'm going to write some code. So basically /include stdio.h. Okay, this is like I'm not sure if you're old enough to understand this code, but I used to write this code. So I'm just including some standard libraries. This is some standard input output headers and some standard libraries. Let's like standard libraries.h, and let's see, let's type int main, which means I want some integer or some value from this main, and get that integer from, let's say, arguments, and we need a character argument for the argument that we are giving. Okay, so here we just say argv, which means we are taking directly from the arguments, and here I'm just writing the code. I'm just writing printf, and here let's say something like %s is at %p. Okay, %p, which means I'm just saying this is a string and this is a pointer, and the string is taken from this argv. So basically we say argv, and we also give this pointer, which is the location of this argv, and we just say get environment variable of argv, and you give the same thing. Okay, so here we give the shell code, the variable of the shell code, and the variable goes here, and the variable goes here and gets this environment variable. Basically it gets the variable, I mean the variable, I guess, the location of the environment variable, and it gives the pointer of that. So close this with the brackets and end with a semicolon, end it with this, and it's done. So you can see, right? So run this gcc m32. So basically you want to run it in 32 bits because let me just show you this first. Okay, let's see the CPU wrap. Okay, let's do this. What do you see here? 32-bit LSB executable, and this means 32 bits, right? So basically the program is in 32-bit. So whenever you're trying to create a new program, it's better to create in 32 bits, okay, because it will run efficiently. So let's see, gcc m32, and what should I do? Mem address and output to mem location. Okay, so now you should see two files. One is executable, one is just C file. So here I'm giving this. It should expect an argument, which is the shell code, which I gave here, right? So hit enter, and the shell code is at this location. So I copy this and I paste it right here. And while using this, you should use it in reverse order. Okay, so I'm going to tell that as well. So why you need to do that? Okay, so ff and xff. Okay, so you need to use this address in reverse order. So why? Because it's in little endian format. So now I say ls cpu and pipe it to grep and ignore the case sensitiveness endian. So as you can see, little endian, right? So that's why you need to give this in little endian format. So now you know everything. So you just need to give 71 buffer, right? Because 71 characters, things are fine, and 72 characters, there's a crash, right? So let's give 71 characters of, let's say, \x90, and add that to this one. Okay, so this is basically what you need to give. So to give this, you can use anything. So basically you can use the same C program. So print f, and let me give this inside the brackets. Print f, and let's say I give bunch of a's. Okay, I can give this, or I can give bunch of a's. Okay, so let's say %.0s. Basically this means repeat this thing, and you also need to mention how many times you want to repeat that. So let's see, so I have to keep it in a C or shell code, so something like 1.71, which means it repeats 71 times of this A. Okay, so it's not fancy, I'm repeating 71 times. So this syntax will take each variable from here, each number, and replace those many times. Okay, and finally I give one more print function, and let's see, I just have to give this. Okay, so basically this is the address, right? So what is the next address for this? Okay, sorry, I didn't copy that. Sorry, again, Control C, Control V. So in this shell code where I mentioned here, so actually I added /x90 there. So if you just remember that, so I added one more byte of data. Okay, right here. So I added this as a buffer. So I just need to enter this, and once I enter this, I can actually execute this code. So if I want to enter this, so I have to give the next number, which is something like, if you just remember, this is a hex format, so hex starts from 0 to 9 and A to F. Okay, so the next variable should be something like A. Okay, so instead of this, if I give A, then it should actually enter into the shell code and have this buffer and then run this code. Okay, so I hope that's clear, and you can end this something like this, and you can also give finally behemoth 1. Okay, so this is where the location of the file. So if I give this, I get a segmentation fault. Interesting. So looks like there is no input. What do you call that? So input stream is not turned on. So to do that, you just give this a cat command. Okay, so usually if I just keep cat, the input stream is on. Okay, so if I just type something, it just repeats it back to me. So the input stream is on. Okay, so I can input as many things as I want. So basically what I'm thinking is it just not keeping the input stream on, so that's why I cannot execute any commands. So you just go back and use cat to keep the input stream on. So let me type something, and if I type who am I, it's segmentation routes. So I just need to modify this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna add bunch more of these things just to create buffer. Paste, and enter. Okay, and now let's run that find mem again. Okay, it's mem location and shellcode, right? Shellcode is at this location. So I paste that here, and let's give 04 and D5. Everything is same. Okay, so I replace this with this, and let's see. Okay, so now you don't see this thing, right? So I'm gonna change, let's say cat, but I need to enter into the shell code, right? So I just need to do this as well, so I need to change this, but let's try without that. So let's type who am I, behemoth 2. Okay, so I was able to get in to Behemoth 2. So let me type bash. I didn't get any bash. So let me get the password. Behemoth underscore pass Behemoth 2. Permission denied. Interesting. Let's exit and let's try the same thing again. Oh, now I got it. It's because of this bash I got the problem. Okay, but anyway. So is there any other way you can use this? Can you use Perl command? Yes, you can, if you know how to use that. So Perl and print a bunch of these characters called, let's say, A. So I'm not using hexadecimal characters anymore, so I'm just using A's. Okay, so I just type 71 and followed by, let's say, what is that? This is the memory location, right? So just copy that, paste it, and double quotes, and end this with a semicolon. And okay, so end it with semicolon, and finally end this print command with a single quote, right? And you can also end this Perl command with semicolon and cat to keep the input stream turned on, and Behemoth 1. Control C. This should also work. Okay, so let's try that. Who am I? I don't know who. Okay, it didn't work. So let's try to increase this to 5. Let's see. Who am I? Okay, it doesn't work. Interesting. What is going on? Let's go into it a little bit. Let's see. Okay, it's not doing it. There's something wrong with the syntax. Should I give any spaces? I don't think so. Okay, so let's try one more thing. So if you know Python 3, you can actually use Python 3 to execute the same thing. But Python 2 was simple, but Python 3 was a bit complex. So basically you just have to import sys and finally sys dot standard output and followed by buffer, and you need to write that buffer. And what else you need to write? You just need to write some bytes or binary data, and you can also give x90 just like we did before. And how many times you want to give that? You just give it 71 times, and followed by, let's say, bytes of this data, right? This data, right? And everything else is same, and this import, and finally use cat command with type Behemoth 1. Oh my god. Okay, let's see. Who am I? I am Behemoth 2. Right. So now you get it, right? Okay, so instead of this Perl command with this one, what if I give x90? Let's see if this one works. Who am I? Doesn't work. Okay, so let me keep 4 because it started with 4. So who am I? Doesn't work. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so let me see the chat. Okay, this one person watching. Okay, whoever the viewer is, we are going to just upgrade to some other rank. So just watch here, exit, SSH, and what do you say? Behemoth 2, and give this password, and we shall. Oh my god. So let's go. While it's running, it will give the solution. Let's go here and reload this. And it's upgraded. Okay, so now the global score is 2386 and the country rank is 37. Interesting. So let's reload here. Okay, so my next target is bad boy. So how much difference does this bad boy and me are having? So it's 10,097, 10,183. So basically, if I just solve one level, I'm not sure it's exactly one level. So basically, I have to solve like couple of levels to actually pass this guy. Okay. So with that, we'll just close this video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next Saturday. Peace. Peace.